Thank you, Larry and Renuka. I just have to say I worship nurses, and this is because, in part, my mother was a nurse, my wife is a nurse, my daughter is a nurse, and nurses will save the planet. In my brief remarks, I want to talk about prevention and where we sit today on this magnificent river, which is the artery of the province and a treasure. You see behind me the majestic shoulders of Mount Robeson. Mount Robeson has the permanent snows. At least they have been permanent. And those waters form the Thompson River, which, of course, flows into the Fraser River. But in the shoulders down below Mount Robeson is another pipeline that is also coursing down the Thompson River and then over the Coquihalla Pass and down the Fraser. And I want to talk about this pipeline because if we are going to prevent the ravages of climate change, we are going to have to rapidly transition away from fossil energy. We all know this. We know this, but we can't seem to stop. It's like an addiction. And it has been referred to previously today in terms of our economic system, which appears that we are addicted to consumption. And this is something we can control as individuals. But we also have to think and connect the dots between major projects that expand fossil energy. And I think everyone has heard the United Nations Secretary General say in very stark terms that if we are going to save humanity, we have to stop building new fossil energy infrastructure. And that, he means, today. So I want you to think about how these dots are connected. We have these waters flowing off Mount Robeson that flow down the Thompson and support salmon and fish, including that magnificent sturgeon that is also behind me. And running beside these rivers is a pipeline that carries diluted bitumen from the Alberta tar sands. Just a little bit north of here, that pipeline goes underneath the river. And unfortunately, I don't have time to discuss the hazard at that point, but I think you could imagine what the hazard is. And if you've heard of the Kalamazoo River disaster, you know exactly what I mean. But think about these dots. One dot being new fossil energy infrastructure connected to another dot that is, of course, increased emissions from the use of the product in that pipeline. And then connect another dot, which is to increase temperatures, because those increased emissions lead to increased temperatures. And then connect another dot, and that dot is to increased weather disasters, heat domes, forest fires, flooding. Those increased temperatures are all linked to those weather disasters. And then, of course, there is the human and ecological costs of those weather disasters. So we need to connect all of these dots. The dots from new fossil energy infrastructure to further emissions, to increasing temperatures, to weather disasters, to more death and destruction. And once we see that connection, the imperative to stop increasing emissions is clear. The time for fracking in British Columbia is over. The time for building new fossil energy infrastructure is over. And we need to get on with reparative and restorative justice for the planet and for every creature on it. And I'll stop there and hope for your questions.